It's anyone less.
Yeah.
Latest presentation. Rouse Anderson presentation.
I don't have anybody in yet.
Okay.
There's no one online yet.
We moved everything. We moved everything away from the wall.
Is there a closer one by now?
All right.
Again,
You got the words over there if you
Yeah.
need it. These pictures.
Oh, he needs, well, yeah, there's a,
And there's a proposal
There you
to
go.
do the same in one. Video,
Why not you?
unless it changes. You wanna follow this?
Shared one,
Well,
yeah.
now we know how long to intend this meeting to go.
Take a good one.
Really wanted that. I know, that was pretty, that's right up, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I was gonna put it some ball, whatever. Yeah. I'll send you more.
What today?
Early in the morning.
That's, have to go home and find.
Oh, yeah, you're fine too.
We do need the rain
Absolutely.
desperately. Okay, great. Recording? Okay, this is our June 16th, 2026 monthly city council's meeting. Special. We'll do a call to order at 6:31.
Mayor Ikorst,
Here,
Mayor, Councilor Pendergrass,
here,
Councilor Phillips,
Here.
Councilor Westover.
Here.
Councilor Spring.
Here.
King and myself. Joe or Mike Flaherty.
Hey, Charles Hall. Mike will join us about 7 o'clock tonight. All right, approval of our agenda. We have some additions and some changes, we're gonna make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay. Couple things, one is under fire relief. We will add a item B, which is a carryover from our last meeting regarding resolution 2026-12. The 10% first quarter distribution. And then under, those are attachments that are on your desk here, so. And then also under consent agenda. Item A, city council meetings, we have B, which is the city council regular meeting, June 3rd minutes.
That's the ones that are added, are here.
And,
Now, you said that resolution for fire relief is 2026-12.
Yes, under fire relief. I think we'll identify as B.
I thought I recall a different number the other day. But anyway,
And another carryover in P and Z is Mary Nash, 115 3rd Street Southwest Code Enforcement.
that other M then?
And we'll add that to P and Z
Yeah,
before A.
before A.
We'll re-identify the property tax exemption A to a B. And A would be the Mary Nash.
So we eliminate the other B.
No, just go all the way down through. Just read.
B will be the property exemptions. The last item is, this is under employee relations. The motion to a closed session, initial evaluation of individual's performance, subject to city council authority. Because of our HR attorney that's going to join us here momentarily, and he has a family commitment, so we're going to move that up to before EDA. Right after the Kraus Anderson. And we'll just move ERC Part B up there, and we'll take care of ERCA where it's at right now.
So if I want to see a change in what's on the personnel policy as it stands, just wait, and we can talk about
I
it.
think that'll
We'll
go
leave it
that way,
where it's
yeah.
at right
I just
now.
want to make sure.
Yeah.
We'll leave the policy where it's at.
I just want to add something.
Yeah, I just want to pull that closed session out after we have the presentation from Kraus Anderson and before EDA. Okay, those are my request changes to that motion or in addition. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. First item is our public forum. It's a 3-minute time limit per person. The city council welcomes and encourages participation from community members. Please keep in mind that your comments must be pertinent to city business and must adhere to data privacy rules. No employees' names may be used. Please do not expect action from the council this evening regarding your concerns. To address the city council during public forum, please step up to the podium, state your name, address, and fill out the form provided. Speakers will be recognized only once. You will be timed. Begin speaking when the green card is raised. The yellow card indicates you have 30 seconds left, and the red card indicates you reach your 3-minute limit and must stop. So with that, we'll open the public forum at 6:38. So for those here that would like to speak in public forum, please step forward to the podiums. Fill out a white card and share that with Rachel.
Hi, my name is Randy Peterson. I live at 105 3rd Street Southwest, Orinoco. And I believe it was 2 years ago that I was actually followed out to my car and talked by the attorney and the mayor, and they said that they would start the process a little bit more rigid. But it's been 4 years. It's been costing more and more because nothing was done about it. But the shed #1 cut dried, it is on a property without a residence. And that #1 is a rule breaker. #2, it's possibly too big, and this is regarding the 115 3rd Street Southwest. I follow the law, so I would expect others to do the same. Cars parked in the yard or vehicles. I think I want to build a shed and just wait for 4 years, and then I'll tear it down and maybe I can put my stuff in there. I don't know. But it's costing more and more money, and you know, I feel bad for that, but it's not my fault. So anyway, that's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Smart, so.
There's no one else.
Participants.
No, nobody
No,
else.
okay. A second call for public forum.
Stephen Norland, 845 First Street Northwest, Orinoco. I can imagine you know why I'm here. It's to discuss the easements and the budget, under budget project that this city come. $670,000 under budget, and $600,000 of that, I believe, was appropriated by the state of Minnesota legislature to have for property acquisitions, permanent easements, temporary easements to pay for. How come you left out the homeowner? You know? How come they weren't surveyed? I'm sure every other one had a legal surveyor come out or a licensed surveyor come out and survey those. And it's my recollection that, those funds at the end of the project should be given back to the state of Minnesota, citizens of the state of Minnesota, or be reappropriated. But that, I believe, takes the state legislator to decide that. Where is that $670,000 at this time? Is it managed by the city? In an account somewhere gaining interest, and yet you can't survey? It'll be 173 homes. Thank you.
Third and final call. Public forum. With that, we'll close the public forum at 6:41. Playing with our sheriff's call report.
I think the one thing on that I've seen and heard from people that live here about kids going around in the middle of the night and knocking or kicking doors. So if they can do some patrolling in the midnight hours, that would be great, particularly on the west side,
Sorry,
on the west side.
west side.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so I don't know if they're trying to get in the houses or they're just out being ornery. I'm not sure, but maybe a little more just presence in the later evening hours might be a good thing.
There's some noisy kids on our side as well that are out past 11 that are, I don't know that they're banging on doors, but you know, that's more disturbing, but. Do you have a video camera?
Wasn't our door, so I don't know. I've just heard in passing from a few folks that it doesn't sound like they're trying to get in, but they're making a big bang and then running away or on a bike or something. I'm not sure where they're
I
going.
did see the post.
I haven't heard it.
Did see the post on Facebook. It sounds like the property owner that posted it and caught somebody on their cameras, so.
Yeah, I've heard a few over on the west side too, talk about it, so I don't know.
They were just glad that their dogs were inside at the time.
Yeah, the kids are coming up to the doors with hoods over their face so they can't be seen. Oh, really? Identified by the cameras,
That was part of it.
supposedly, yeah. So,
So maybe just a little more exposure around.
Well, I guess it does. But we can mention Sergeant Reed, yes. But have you had in River Park, your area or your?
I know we had some issues last year. I haven't had anything like that happening this year outside of noisy kids on scooters up at past 11 o'clock. Going by, and it's summer,
Yeah,
so
maybe just some residential
but coming
patrolling.
up to the doors is a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And I don't know if it's like their door, their garage door, again, I
right,
didn't
or,
know
yeah.
what they're doing, or they're throwing something at the house.
Okay, we'll make a note for Sergeant Rim, follow up on that.
How do you spell that?
RIMM. Okay, water summaries next. Or previous. Any comments for Kane?
Well,
Or billing register, I'm sorry, for the utilities, yes, okay. We could have some, there's nothing there, we'll go on to presentation. Is she on the
There
line?
she is.
So
We were having a little trouble getting her on. That's why we're running around.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Maury, we got you in.
Hi, I'm on my cell phone. It was sent to me via text, so I'm gonna try and do the best I can here. I don't think I can't share my screen from my mobile device, so I don't know if you guys.
You want me to resend you the link to your email real quick?
Yeah, because the one that I have is for the 9th of June, so that would be awesome.
Here it comes.
Thank you. Let me make sure I get it, and then I'll hop on that one. Here we go.
Nico's in the room too. Yeah, drag your message up a little bit.
See him on there.
I don't see Nico either.
Do you know his email?
I don't.
I think we've got it all figured out now. Sorry, guys. All
Thank you.
right.
We're sorry.
No, you're all good. I don't have sharing capability though.
And I do that.
Yeah, hello. Just click that blue.
There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. All right. Let me get this up to speed here. Well, okay. Sorry guys for everything. I'm Mari Solomon with Kraus Anderson. I'm a senior facility assessment manager. I'm technically filling in for Travis Evenson. He actually did this assessment on my behalf because I was assigned to a big project that I had to be out of town for. So thank you for having me. We're ready to go. Should I just go ahead and jump right in? All right. Perfect. All right. So, today's agenda is consistent of, talking about our FCA deliverables. So the facility condition assessment, when I say FCA for everyone who's not familiar with that acronym. So we'll talk about the deliverables. We'll review the executive summary, the initial findings, and then get into the nuts and bolts of how we draw to the conclusions that we came to, talking about the FCI, which is the Facility Condition Index, which is an industry standard, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll talk about the annual spend. I did update this presentation a little bit just to give it a little bit more, context, as well as a cost breakdown per discipline, per facility. And then we'll conclude and do a recap, and then we'll open it up for questions. So we'll jump right in. So our deliverables consist of, the executive report, which we're reviewing today. We also deliver everything via a SharePoint portal. So everything is digitized and is available for viewing there. The FCA dashboard, it consists of a 10-year plan plus. It captures a 10-year period, but it actually goes out as long as, the items that we did a full assessment of your entire facilities, whether they were new or old. So everything is in there. It just may not be captured in that 10-year period. The facility condition index scores, which we'll talk about in depth in the next couple slides, as well as all the site information, the site interview information, which is that really important anecdotal information that we got from Kane and team regarding these really important sites for you guys. All right, so we'll jump right in. So we, as Crouse Anderson, were hired by the city to do an assessment on your behalf. It consisted of 3 facilities that totaled a little over 24,000 square feet. The objective was to, help you understand what you have, what you need, and then ultimately, this data is to help guide decision-making processes for future direction for these facilities. So a lot of, future plans will be probably discussed after this presentation is over. And we're absolutely here to help guide the city in those conversations if that is warranted and needed. We're absolutely there for that. So for a quick overview, and we'll get into the details as we continue through the slides, is so the index ratings, the public works facility came into good range, and we'll talk about how we got to that. And then the fire department and city hall facilities ranged in the poor. And again, we'll talk about how that is calculated and determined. Overall, we found about $4.3 million in, capital and maintenance needs over the next 10-year period. And that includes all 3 facilities. Not everything is, critical. There are some things that are more critical than others. And all of our cost estimates are based off, historical data that, Crouse Anderson, has experience in constructing these types of facilities. So we specialize in government municipality facilities. So we have those databases to pull from. Obviously, hard bids will be needed once, projects are kind of developed. And the other big thing that we'll talk about in depth on the future slides is the FCA does not account for any adequacy issues. So like space needs, constraints in operations of the building, that's a completely separate, task. But we will talk about that. And then obviously, this is just the straight skinny. We have not rebalanced the plan. This is the straight numbers that we got right out of the FCA based on the information that we collected and had a site interview over. And we'll talk about how that looks going forward. All right. So starting with your newest facility, your public works facility, it's about 5,000 square feet, built in 2015. Prefabricated building. So here you can see in the slide some data points that are really critical to how we get to this FCI rating. So to just do a quick understanding of what FCI is, so the Facility Condition Index, it was developed by IFMA, so the International Facility Managers Association. So that's a worldwide association that drives what we do in condition assessments. And it gives a rating when we do facility assessments. And it's really, I call it a health check of a facility. So it takes a modern day replacement cost of a building, like for like, meaning the square footage is the same and the type of construction is the same. So no additions or subtractions to the building. So it gives you a data point in terms of, okay, a modern day replacement cost of a building like this would be about $350 a square foot. So you're looking at, like $1.75 million to replace that building as it is with 5,000 square feet. We found about, a little under $140,000 over the next 10 years. So to calculate that FCI, it takes that deferred maintenance of $140,000 against that $1.75 million to replace the building. And it gives that calculation of percentage. So obviously the lower you are in percentage, so you're at 0.06 on that rating. So you're in really good shape at that building. So the higher you get in percentage, obviously the more, critical we talk about possibly divesting. Obviously, this facility does not fall in that category. It's in really good shape. in terms of the facility and the improvements to the building. So as we move on, so this is an unbalanced annual plan of what you're expecting over the next 10 years. So you can see 2035 is a big year for this building. That's because we start to see typically in our industry, 15 to 20 years is when you start to see a big ramp up in terms of needing a lot of capital improvements for like HVAC and interiors and roofs. It kind of all hits similarly at the same time. We use ASHRAE BOMA standards, industry standards in terms of life expectancy. So since this was built 2015, a lot of things are going to hit in 2035. I will say that this is unbalanced. So meaning, you know, these green, yellow, and red areas, the red is what you definitely will want to absolutely keep in 2035. The yellow can be pushed around a little bit, and the green is absolutely slushy numbers. Like the interiors are in the green, they're low priority, meaning they won't impact your operations of your facility. Yellow is more like your doors, windows, roof. And then red is, you know, HVAC and electrical and plumbing, the things that if they fail, they could impact the operations of the facility. So that's how we rate. It helps kind of paint more of a better picture than just an annual spend, if that helps. So going on to the next slide. So this is just a different way to show our data. So you can see the different pieces of the pie for public works, you know, over the next 10 years, you know, there's going to need to be some HVAC replacements coming up in the 10-year period, you know, some plumbing updates, you know, site work, you know, parking lots, you know, resealing, you know, maybe a mill and overlay as well, you know, doors and windows in your exterior enclosure and roofs. And then interiors, you know, we put about 20 years on interiors to replace, you know, carpets and ceilings and, you know, spruce things up, so to speak. So to hit on the overview, like I said, you know, site work, interior construction, and HVAC is kind of your biggest drivers for that facility. There's also plumbing in there to mention that there are no floor drains in that public works facility. So that's kind of a problem. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm confusing it with the fire department. My apologies. This one, the only thing that I will convey to you guys is there are space constraints. Even though it's good in terms of the facility condition being really good, the problem is the operations of the building is somewhat strained because you are at capacity at the building right now with, you know, all the functions that work out of this facility. So there's a lot going on in the facility and not a lot of extra space to grow. Obviously you don't really have as well any kind of like, you know, yard. You have no like real storage for any equipment, and no like cold storage or anything really big to, you know, take care of your fleet vehicles or anything like that. So the space constraints can be obviously a safety issue. It can impact employee morale and retention. And, you know, it advances age on your pieces of equipment if they have to sit outside, if you know, max your space out in your shop areas. So it can make operations really challenging for the folks that work in that facility. But overall, from a facility condition aspect, it's in good condition. So again, the adequacy part, I would highly recommend on this facility, you know, having a space needs study done once, you know, we conclude with the facility assessment to really understand, you know, kind of where you're at with space against what, you know, your current employee count is and what that future employee count will be and what, you know, your fleet will grow, you know, as long as, you know, your city is growing. So of course, your city facilities also have to be right-sized for that growth. And that's what that space adequacy study will do is, you know, help you kind of guide you in terms of okay, we need this space today, but then we also need to consider that growth in the future. So not just building a building for what you need today, but in the future. So, all right. So we'll keep going here. So the City Hall, one of your oldest buildings, the original build of this building was 1927. And then there was some additions added in 1950. The building is a little bit under 14,000 square feet. We're anticipating, if you were to replace this building like for like, same square footage, and same construction, it would be a little under $6 million to replace the building. We found about a little over 3.1 million in deferred maintenance and capital needs over the next 10 years. So we're in a really high FCI rating right now. We're almost at 50% of the value of the building in terms of needs for the building. A lot of it is because, the original build was 1927 and 1950. And, a lot has changed with, code requirements, ADA and air quality and HVAC efficiencies. A lot has changed in that long period of time. So we will jump into that detail in the next slide here. So you can see here a very large chunk of what is needed, pretty soon here. That red bar is a big chunk of what you need. And it's, HVAC and, conveyance and, all of those bigger ticketed items. And you can see here, almost 50% of that $3 million that we found is in HVAC needs. There is no, real air exchange system in the building. During the summer times and the warmer weather, you're having windows and doors open. From an efficiency standpoint, utility cost standpoint, safety and security and, critters getting in the building. It's recommended that that there's a full upgrade to the HVAC system for all of those reasons. Exterior enclosure, there's a lot of dated windows and doors. Again, that impacts, the comfortability of the building, and the efficiency of the building utility wise. We're all talking about, how utility costs are continuing to rise. So these things will severely help, with, running a more efficient building with new windows, new doors, new HVAC. So it's the enclosure is tight. And you have an efficient HVAC system, and it's, providing fresh air for everyone in the building. The roofs, they're at end of life as well. The interiors, there's a lot of aged interiors. A lot of it is ADA compliant, code compliancy that needs to be addressed. There is no elevator at all in the building. So obviously from a staffing perspective, if you have anyone with, any kind of disability or public facing, they can't really utilize the upper levels of that building. So it's kind of a constraint for the city for sure. So those are the real big drivers within the plan that we found. So you can see just a kind of a recap. There's also, asbestos concerns as well as lead-based paint concerns, due to the age of the building. So there are some things. I mean, asbestos, if you don't disturb it, it's fine. But there's just aged pieces in here that should be addressed. And just to kind of reiterate what I said earlier, the ventilation and the air exchange is a really big driver. Code compliance has changed over many years with, having positive indoor air quality for, buildings. So it is regulated by code, and the building just currently does not meet that requirement. Definitely, we already know there's definitely some asbestos containing materials and most likely some lead paint in the building. And ADA, that's a huge thing. It's new from the 1990s, but ADA requirements, especially from a public facing building, and you probably have voting happening in the building and things like that. It's just, imperative to be code compliant when it comes to, people with, challenges or disabilities, trying to get into a building. And just the building systems in general, including the mechanical and the fire protection, all of that, is outdated. It does need to be updated. So. All right. The fire department, original build 1970, and then there was a little addition in 1995. It's about 5,400 square feet. Again, this is similar to the Public Works facility. It's almost a prefabricated building. We put about $350 a square foot on a building the type and size that it is. So you're at about, just almost 9 million to replace that building. We've got about a little over $1 million in needs over the 10 years that we found. So when you put that up against, the building replacement cost, it's again very high on that FCI chart. So it's getting close to that 50% range in terms of poor condition. So a lot of what is needed is in that first year here in 2027. So just over $900,000 of that 1.1 is kind of recommended to be done in that first year. Obviously, that green section, a little over 200,000 can probably be kicked a little bit down the road. But the red and the yellow, I wouldn't, defer it too long. So you can see here the breakdown of the biggest areas of improvement. Obviously, HVAC is a huge driver. It's imperative that you have, good, again, with that air quality, CO, NO concerns with running apparatuses in the bays. Also, this is where I made the mistake. I got them too confused. My apologies again. There's no floor drains in the fire station. So if they were to, do any kind of cleaning of their apparatuses, there's nowhere for water to go. And obviously that's kind of a critical piece of having a fire station. You need to have, floor drains in an apparatus bay. And then obviously interior construction, just updating the finishes, that's a pretty low hanging fruit. But then the roof replacement, as well as, the doors and the windows need to be replaced as well. There's obviously some site work, sidewalk improvements and, any parking improvements are included in there as well. So just, this is kind of reiterating what we've talked about in terms of the siding and the door enclosures and the roof and floor drains are pretty high up there on the list. But then we talk again about the safety and code compliance. The floor drains, this can lead to, operation problems with the building, obviously, mold growth and, moisture issues, as well as impacting the air quality. And just from a functional standpoint, it can be really challenging, especially, being in the winter time in Minnesota. We know how much snow is brought in and out on vehicles and, sand and salt as well. So it can impact the floor, the concrete floor and the apparatus bays as well. Exhaust, I mentioned this earlier. It's really, really important to have CO-NO systems with makeup air units that control, fresh air coming out and expelling, the harmful, carbon and nitrogen dioxide in the air. It's just a huge safety concern, especially when you have apparatuses that need to potentially start with, the doors down, especially in, the winter time. And then there's, again, that pesky thing about size limitations, which is also, an issue with your public works facility. It is at capacity. There is no room for growth at all. So if, your city continues to grow, your fire department is greatly limited to how much, it can serve the community. The other thing is, it's pretty typical in fire station construction to have, pull through bays where, you're going in one door and out the other. It's an efficiency and a timing standpoint from a safety aspect to, be very responsive, not having to pull out, pull in, and it's safety for people around the building as well. And the bays are undersized. If you're looking to, again, expand your fire station personnel and you're growing with your city, the apparatuses will grow as well. And those are very expensive pieces of equipment. So you definitely want to home for those as you grow. And then just interior spaces for, your employees to work out of as they are, not necessarily in the field all the time. So, training and meeting spaces and, just rest areas for, your fire department's pretty critical, as they have a pretty tough job in the field. So just to recap, I know I've thrown a lot at you, and I am definitely here to answer any questions you have. But the Public Works facility, from a condition assessment side of things, is in a good range. It's in really good shape. It does lack space, which I think, again, warrants that space adequacy study. And the fire department and the city hall were rated in poor. We found about that $4.3 million needed over the next 10 years. And, balancing that plan will help kind of delineate some of that really important items versus, the kind of lower hanging fruit. But it does not address the adequacy issues that you're facing, which I think would be, a good next step in the process to really drill down your real needs for these facilities. Because obviously you're going to continue to maintain these facilities no matter what direction you go, you still have to live in these facilities, even if you were to, potentially build a new facility. So there is maintaining as you go. But our FCA is really a do nothing plan. This means if you were to just stay in the facilities as you are, this is what you're facing. So 4.3 million over the next 10 years. So, all right, I'm going to open it up to questions for anybody who has anything for me.
Thank you for the presentation. We went into this, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
We know now what we know, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's a big challenge ahead of it, that's for sure.
It is, and we are absolutely here to help you in any way we can to, make the next steps easier. So
I mean, from my opinion, and you probably don't have an answer for this, but that 4.3 is a big number. And in there, right, you're saying not all items are critical. I think we would need to decide, what is a appropriate amount that could be spent on maintenance, or is that even really a new facility? I think we'd still have to figure that out and start to think about planning. So we're not impacting our tax base as much as possible. I would assume there's potentially even some grants or other things that we could look at, or new state funding to help. But that 4.3 million is a big number when we think about it, but understanding that all of these things are probably what staff and fire and city hall and public works are feeling. So appreciate the overview.
Absolutely.
So in your estimation, your experience, this amount of dollars is usually ends up being a bonding referendum. 20, 30-year bond or something like that. Is that typically how cities would attack or approach this project?
Yeah, and there's also, potentially grants out there, and federal funding, depending on, how you want to approach it, which we have people on staff that can kind of help guide those conversations at KA in terms of how you want to, if you wanted to finance, anything improvement wise. We have people on staff that can help drive that conversation, but I don't think it's all just going to be a tax-based situation. It's definitely, there's bonds and grants and, from a federal level, from a state level. So I think that needs to be explored for sure, to determine, what you need to, take care of like immediately at the building versus, what we're gonna, you want to wait on, and then kind of in the meantime, figure out what that future looks like for the facilities in general.
So when we look at the three buckets, community center, public works, fire department, in your experience, which of those three are more likely to get funding from either the federal or the state government?
That's kind of a tough question. I mean, fire departments have, typically they get a lot of support because of what they do in the community. So that one will probably be, more likely to be the easiest to fund. But we would have to look into, the other areas of financing.
I think the other thing, all of these facilities are landlocked, and there's not a whole lot of room to grow, so we would need to think about positioning if we weren't gonna continue with those facilities or move somewhere else. That would be a consideration we'd have to think about too.
Yeah, and the good news is, for instance, your current public works facility, you could still utilize it as part of your fleet of facilities. It's in good shape. It just can't house all the people that you currently have in there right now. And same with the fire department. The building's not in terrible condition, for what it's being for, if you were not to put a fire station in there, if you were to just, if it were more like cold storage for public works or something to that degree, it may be a little bit more, easier to utilize. So there's ways that we can reimagine, some of these facilities. City Hall is going to be more of a challenge in terms of reuse, just because, it's such an older building that it just simply doesn't meet the current code requirements. So, but at least, I think for sure the public works facility, you can reuse. The fire station, I think you could still reuse part of it for some other use. I don't know if, the city has other properties that they own that they currently aren't, occupying with any kind of facility on it. But we certainly can, we have, some space planning people on staff that can, do some modeling of, what size building can fit on properties, to determine, you can future projects, you can fit, a need of your building need on that piece of property. I mean, they could even take the one that you're on right now and see what it could, potentially look like in the future, but I'll leave that for future conversations.
Well, you mentioned the different departments working out of the Public Works building. Do we know how much space each one of those departments are dedicated to in that?
I wouldn't personally know that. Kane may.
Kane may have to be the one to answer. You got water and sewer, streets and roads. Is there anything dedicated to?
It's just a support building, it doesn't,
I understand.
it's not just one department, it's everything, so we're.
Well, I guess kind of where I'm going is some of the water and sewer stuff could be moved out to the sewer plant for those kind of needs.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
Just one of my concerns. It might alleviate some pressure off here temporarily.
Not much room out at the plant, really.
Well, there is office space for some of that.
There's a lab.
Yeah.
And a break room,
Conference room.
but we can go into that later.
Yeah,
It may seem like a large facility out there at the plant, but it's built up. I mean, not much extra room. We can't park a vehicle out there. There's not enough room to park a pickup truck right now. So that's where we are with space out there.
Or a fire truck.
okay, well, This is excellent information, going strategically ahead of us, and I think it's, it probably referenced a lot as we decide what we're gonna do and. Any other questions for comments for her at this point?
No, I'd like to thank her for the time they put in it. So,
Yeah. So, good report.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
be in touch and we'll get a copy of what you presented then as well.
Yes, yep, it's actually live. I'll make sure to get it over to Kane and he can redistribute it. So it was just some added verbiage in there for you. So, but thank you for your time, everyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Great. Next item, and we moved it up, is our performance evaluation. So let me have a script to follow, and we'll start that. Is Nico still there? Okay. So the agenda item for this special meeting is initial evaluation of an individual's performance subject to city council authority under Minnesota statute sections 13D.05 subdivision 3A. The individual is City Clerk Rachel Shepkins. Minnesota statute section 13D.05 subdivision 3A provides that any portion of a meeting may be closed for this reason unless the individual who is subject to the meeting request that it be open. I understand the City Clerk Rachel did not request an open meeting. Is that correct?
That is.
This portion of the meeting will be closed pursuant to such statute because the city council will be evaluating the performance of an individual subject to the city's authority. City Clerk Rachel Shapkins. I will now entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Make a motion to close.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Right.
The time is 7:22. The city will now go into closed session and we will ask. Nicholas is the only one on the line right now. Rachel, before you leave.
No, I'm not. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
shutting the door.
Okay, thank you. The council will now go into closed session here in the city council chambers. Only the city council, Rachel, and legal counsel may attend the closed session. Closed portion of this meeting is being electronically recorded. Pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.05. And I will, start that recording right now.
Just wasn't sure because he didn't announce that he was in.
Yeah, it's fair.
Thank you. Yep.
Members, we're going to go back to an open meeting. Following a closed meeting for performance evaluation of a city employee, the city council meeting is now open. Time is 7:56. And with that, we've moved to our agenda item. So in open session, I would make a motion that we terminate Rachel Shapkins effective immediately. And if necessary, I can meet Rachel in the morning at 7 a.m. If whatever is left to be collected, we need passwords, keys, cards.
A second.
Daniel? Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Do we have to do voice vote?
What's that?
Do we have to do voice vote?
I don't think so.
Okay. Hey,
Oppose? Motion's carried. And with that, we'll take a 5-minute break. And while Rachel would collect her things. And we'll come back at 8:10. Okay, we're back at,
I got it, yeah.
it's 8:10 and Mike is with us, so. The next item is our EDA. In your packet was a recommendation for the approving the color, black and white logos, tagline, business card designs. So that was in your packet. From the steering committee. Input and. There's also, let me just pass you, there's one other sheet that wasn't in the packet that came in about 6 o'clock tonight. It's a summary of all the potential options that you can see using and how to use them. Now as well. Kind of give you a flavor of the different versions and official versions of the brand standards is what Whitney referred to it as, so. There was one question about the font on the tagline, is that still
I
need
think that
work?
we can still like work on that. I don't know if anybody else sees that. There just were more than a couple of comments about the font on the tagline that it may be fought with the type that is in the logo. So I think that can still be adjusted. We're not approving of font,
The bridging traditions.
right?
Okay.
And maybe just make that maybe not so bold or try a
The
couple.
words are
different-
okay, it's just the font.
Yeah, I think the tagline's really good.
Okay. So with that, I make a motion, we approve the recommendation from EDA and the steering committee for the new logos.
I'll second that.
Yeah. Um,
which one of those would that is being in?
They're all the same. Well, in the packet was the symbol for these diagrams.
Yeah, I did see that.
And this one here is just a summary of the different versions we can use them officially as, I guess is the right way to say it.
And then in addition, that word Minnesota inside the dashes can be customized to say Public Works or Fire Department, or it doesn't have to say Minnesota. We can have that customized for different departments too.
City council,
She suggested departments, but the word Minnesota could be exchanged for Public Works or emergency management, whatever have you.
Okay.
Is there a reason why that last tagline, like Minnesota, is not black? Is that intentional that it's green?
So if you look at the color palette, any of those colors could be used for the word Minnesota or for the word, say, Public Works or emergency management. Maybe we want Public Works to always be green.
Okay.
We want emergency management to always be like the yellow.
Okay.
Anyway, you can use those colors interchangeably for that word Minnesota underneath.
Okay.
Emergency management should almost be in red.
It says no.
That's for managing your emergencies. Word name thing.
Looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
A good thing to have out of the way. The one thing I have, now that we have the official files too, we'll initiate discussion with Chad Tracy about replacing or getting quotes, replacing our 2 highway signs.
Good.
The piece of vinyl that's in it will be replaced and printed, so. One cabin on the northbound was originally meant to have lights in it, but it was too expensive to run light electricity to it from the road, so it's
Doesn't
probably
that
goes
have-
it.
Does it have solar on it?
Pardon?
I thought that had solar.
Yeah, it does. So we put solar lights on them several years ago.
But they were shining on it, not in it. You were saying that it was planned on being in the sign or just?
No, we'll keep it outside external.
Okay,
It's the way it has been now.
Require a
Works fine
different
except
sign
for cloudy
completely.
days.
It require a different sign completely to put it in the sign. Cause it's just a back.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a backboard, it's
Yeah.
pre-lit.
We also are working on new signs for the park, but we didn't wanna do those new signs without the logo, so. There'll be some new signage for all the parks too, which is within the budget.
Any other comments?
Are you working with Lions to get them included? as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Moving to administration and licensing. Tobacco license revocation. I make a motion, we approve.
I'll second that.
we still haven't had any kind of update with anything from them, correct?
Not that I know.
I haven't heard anything unless you folks
I've seen a body up there last week.
They were open that like a couple of weeks ago.
I think they've been open the last couple of days.
I think that with these revoktions, so that we need to make sure that it's being enforced too.
Right.
Right,
We
and I
had
don't
the
know.
sheriff stopped by and shared that with the sheriff too, so.
Okay, so are they allowed to display stuff if they don't have a license to sell it, like, or do they need to clear their shelves?
So that their liquor license has been revoked.
Right,
Now the tobacco license has been revoked, so.
So how do they do that? Do they then remove the inventory?
yeah, that's what I'm.
They should
thinking
be.
is-
You can't sell
Be
it.
there for, yeah, I would think so.
Their responsibility to follow the state mandated portion of that law. And if they continue to do sales of either of those things after the cities revoke their license, then we have local law enforcement.
Okay,
Have you heard anything from them with the liquor license,
They were notified via certified mail, which is what we do.
but you haven't heard anything back?
Their liquor
Okay.
license is still sitting on my desk from last December. They like never even picked it up.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we'll send this license to the address that we have for
Mhm.
Yolen. All right,
did we take that vote?
that's approved, okay. It's good.
Did we take that? No, so we do need to vote, yeah, right, that's sorry.
Yeah, we had a motion.
We have a motion, we haven't voted.
All
We didn't
in
vote.
favor, say aye.
Aye. No, we do.
We have a motion to approve the Duck Derby gambling permit for Gold Rush.
Make a motion to approve that.
Second,
Comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's approved. Bring down to fire relief. Resolution 2026-15, accepting the 10% multi-gambling donation.
I make a motion to approve the $461.45 for 10% of the gambling.
second,
Any other comments? This is a voice vote.
Mayor Ikorst,
Aye.
Counselor Pendergrass,
Aye.
Counselor Phillips,
Aye.
Counselor Rice-Dorfer,
Hi,
Counselor Spring.
It's approved. This is the one item that was added with this resolution 2026-12. Which is the approving the charitable distributions of the first quarter of 2026. From the 10% gambling fund. This is a carryover from our June 3rd meeting. Discussing a couple different items. One was AED for the community building. Another one was some new details for first rescue vehicle.
I make a motion for discussion.
second,
You guys were looking at either a purchase, which is what I thought we had talked about with the AED. Going that direction, and then I heard that there was some discussion on renting it through. What was it, one of our? I think it was who you were gonna rent it from, or?
So this,
Cintas is one of them that provide, we can,
But I just think if it's good for 5 years, we should just go ahead and purchase it, which would be the easiest way to take care of it for the purchase directly for the 10%.
Now, there was
so
on June 3rd, there was discussion about whether or not we could do that with the funds. Did anybody check with the Minnesota Fire Association?
Mel did.
sure, there's a memo.
I did, and I did, and we did put out a memo too.
We're all good with that, so.
Okay.
So then the rest of that would go to the decals. The total. What was that total amount? $3,039.36.
That's for the AED.
No, the AED was about 3,000. And then the other would go towards the decals.
Do we know paying for that 3,000? It says approximately, like, is that
so the,
like with shipping and everything or?
the 3 AEDs that were purchased for the fire and first responders earlier this year, that was through the Sourcewell, can't think. The program for municipalities, right, a discount for municipalities, fire, first responders. So we are a part of that program, we are a member, so we would get the same pricing as, the ones we previously purchased. So,
And then I just, the
It'll be
way
the
the motion
same
was,
brand.
the addition, whatever's left over. would be
What's on all the
going towards
trucks.
decals, So.
yes, it's the same as, Oracle Fire and First Responders, as well as, Mayo Clinic ambulance service, so it's
Okay.
all the same technology, all the same pads, and
If I remember correctly, we swapped all of them this year, correct? And all of the old ones those were expired?
They're gone.
Okay,
Believe. Trying to find the exact number that we purchased them, or the first responders purchased them for.
so I'm trying
Okay, you're trying to find two?
to find two, yeah.
So we'll need some signage or something so people know where to find them and how to use it if needed.
Yep, I think we'll get some signs, some vinyl signage out here. Yep,
you're gonna mount it in a traffic area out here or?
so you want it
Or-
centrally located, so I'm imagining the hallway, you know.
To me, that'd be the right place to put it.
Yeah,
In the
other
card
building-
lot of the library.
Other buildings that I've seen the AED installed on the walls, it's kind of a peculiar place to have it up high because there's some sharp corners on the cases. So I don't know if there's anything you can,
You know, we'll,
other than whatever,
yeah,
put a sign on
Can
it.
we bubble wrap it?
yeah,
Well, under the impression if you mounted so close to the floor.
Careful what you ask for. So the first responders purchased 4, right? We purchased 4, engine 1, engine 2, rescue 1, brush 1, for a grand total of $12,967.34. So that comes out to $3,241.84.
So it may all just be used for that, because there's $3,039.36.
Yeah, I think that'd be a nice add. For those, everybody's taking CPR, that's a process with an AED as well, so. All right, any other comments? We have a vote, or voice vote for the, this is 12 to use use the distributions for purchasing an AED equipment.
Mayor Ikorst,
Aye.
Counselor Pendergrass,
I,
Counselor Phillips,
I,
Counselor Weisdorfer,
Aye.
Counselor Spring.
I
Okay, I added Mary Dash. It's the first item under planning and zoning. So there was a, packet, or what was given onto you on the tables. There was a, summary from, Jason back in March, April 16th, I guess it was. We talked to Lou. So there's also been a attorney-client privilege letter that Mike sent council for review. Went into a little more details about option 1, 2, and 3. And got a chance to look at that. If they would like to make a motion, how to proceed.
I make a motion for option 3.
Second,
And Daniel. Option 3.
I just don't think the other
Second
two options
comment?
make sense. Like, they're not gonna be able to get a variance. Cause they don't meet those conditions. And we absolutely can't just allow it. And set that precedent right now with the new code coming out and everything, like, we just can't do that.
And they've taken advantage of it for years, I would
Yes.
say, and known that this was gonna be coming, so I think it's just get it over with.
So then, if the council, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I had to switch to my iPhone. The Zoom crashed for me and Nico each a couple times. So I don't know if it's on our end, it might be, but so I'll send the letter. We'll start drafting a letter, but I think it would be beneficial. I was involved when we cleaned up Mary Nash's property the first time, I think when they built the shed. And there was a gentleman that was helping her. Does anybody know? I think Jason was aware of this. Does anybody know who I'm talking about?
Steve, and I have his contact info too.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
okay, good.
So I'll start putting the letter together, but I think it would be beneficial if to pursue option 3. And I think that's probably, if you want to remove the shed, I think that's, I mean, I don't think they would even apply, even if you got them to apply, ask them to apply. I don't think they would, but maybe somebody wants to reach out to that gentleman and help me schedule a meeting, and we could prepare the letter and just give him a copy of the letter that we'll mail to her, and maybe we can work with them on resolving it that way. But pursue option 3, but that would be part of that. Would be to try and resolve it, but I think that would be a good idea because he was able to help us the first time. You don't know, maybe he will this time too.
With pursuing option 3, I think that it would be reasonable to look at our code enforcement and put a timeline on
Exactly.
and have fees start compiling. If they choose to be non-compliant, I think that we need to have record of fees starting and start compiling against that property if they're not gonna be compliant. So I don't know if that's something that we can do in tandem. Or
Which fees are you talking? What
Well,
fees would the city
well, they
sustain?
would have, there's compliance issues, right? Cause it's, or enforcement issues. So if we don't have fees in the schedule for enforcement, then I think that, or if we do, then I think those should apply.
We have like a 3-letter approach. We send 1 letter, 10 days, nothing happens. You send a second letter, 10 days, nothing happens. If you send a 3rd letter and nothing happens, then there's a fee the city would go out, like in the case of weeds, you'd mow it. So I don't know if that applies, we're not gonna move the building. It's up to them
Right.
to move the building, but
I
Is
think
that-
there's cars too, there, right?
is that the way you see it, Mike?
Well, I think we've already sent at least 1 letter before. Isn't that what Jason's memo sort of says? Is that we've already done that at least once? But I mean,
I'm guessing we have. We don't have a copy here.
Do we need to
Yeah.
start the 30-day process over? No.
No, I think what we should do
Yeah.
is, I think what we should do is send them a letter, give them until the date of the July meeting, whenever that is. And invite them if they want to address the council, they can do that. And tell them that they're not in compliance by the July meeting. The council's gonna, the letter would say this, the council's then gonna vote to pursue seeking an injunction to have the shed removed. And then I would send them that one letter. And then I would also try to call that gentleman and see if we can meet before the next council meeting. And if they stonewall you, we should just vote to do it then at the next meeting. And if they want to say something, they can, you should give them a right to, make a statement or something, or present to the council if they're going to move the shed. I don't know, even know if it can be moved. It might have to be demolished. I don't know what the building materials are or anything.
It was built on site.
It's on a foundation.
No,
It's on a pad. It is on a pad.
there's some,
I believe.
yeah, wood underneath, but it was built there. It wasn't brought in, it was built.
What is there? What about the cars that were referenced there? That wasn't in his memo, I don't think. Are there still cars? I thought we removed those.
There's a boat, there's 2 trailers. I think that's about it. There's 2 buildings here. There's a small 6x6 white shed. And there's also this, the new shed that we're talking about next to the fence. Now, I don't know what that one shed is. It's
Like a garden shed.
If we don't
What's
have
that?
It's like a garden shed, the small one.
Yeah, I don't know if
Next
it's
month.
a well on it or not.
So it might be helpful when I write this letter if somebody can go take a picture of this.
Sure.
So we can attach it to the letter and explain what we mean. I didn't know there was 2 sheds until just now. So we might need to do a little factual work on that just to figure out because I don't think you can have any sheds the way I read the code,
That's right.
So if we,
The little shed was standing before the building was taken down.
Well, you can't have it.
Yeah.
It's,
I'll take a photo of the area tomorrow, Mike, and send it to you.
perfect. Yeah. We'll work on it. We'll get them a letter out and give them till the July meeting and see what they do. And if not, we can pursue the court action at that time if the council votes to do that.
And there could be some fees with that, the city, but that's hopefully minimal.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be court filing fees and legal fees, but I don't think it's a terribly complicated issue. It'll really boil down to whether they challenge it and try and litigate the issue. Or if they don't show up and there's a default, then it's not as
And with
complicated.
Or it's just a matter of time. All right, any other comments? No. See none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose?
Ryland, because of the tech issues, I'm just going to log off. Is anybody need
I
more
think we're
legal?
okay, Mike. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item is a motion to approve all, any, or none of the property tax exemption applications that are listed in your
I make a
agenda.
motion.
Most of our city properties. Jimmy said something.
I make a motion.
Yeah,
I'll second them.
Are these,
so these are, and Mel, I guess I'd ask you to comment too. It's my understanding that we could lump these into one city properties. Is that your understanding? Or do we just all do the individual ones first, then come back?
So, I mean, kind of what it says, and I think I included Evan's information as well too. Evan did review this, just for feasibility. If there were any of these lots that it made sense for the city to save money on taxes, or if we had plans for any of these properties, if it was a good idea to combine them, that's fine. There's no real pro or con to combining them or not combining them. It's just an option that the county provides every year for us to review in case we were in the planning stages or had something else going on near one of those properties. So it's an opportunity that we have to review it every year.
Well, from reading through the packet, I kind of recall something about combining lots that they have to be side by side or within the same section. They're different sections, you can't combine them. And
Those,
but the big one is the one along the lake.
Right.
And those are properties that are never gonna be subdivided or changed out. So I would suggest that we would probably combine those to make it one property, cause it's all in lake bed is where it's at now.
there's all 20 of them. It's,
And the others probably just need to remain where they're at.
yeah, I think the 20 that are lake bed could be combined because it just causes confusion more than anything when somebody looks at the county website and see it's not the city, but if they're all city, then it's in, you know, it's landlocked anyway. It's just more of a convenience and easy to do, so.
And with those, I would say anything else that we would be considering the developer sell, we should leave out of that. Not combine, because it does say that it makes it limits flexibility for selling, subdividing and repurposing
No,
in the
That-
future, so.
that'd be an important part of not combining any of the outlets that we're
Right.
talking about, like
Yeah.
in the Riverwood Hills
Mhm. Yep.
and River Park. Keep
Yeah.
that stuff all individual.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll leave the cities individual right now and combine the Lake Shady,
Properties.
they were worth. Yeah. It's something that was in her.
Road. That would.
They, that,
This is by the 8 parcels on Lake Shady.
yeah.
And those are all.
That's a subdivision, I don't have the names right in front of me here, I thought I did, okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, oppose? It's approved. Next one is a employee relations committee about the approving the city of Orinoco updated personnel policy. It's a document that Marie and I have been working on for some time, and we recognize there's maybe some things that
Did you make a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
okay, discussion.
Yeah, I would like to go to section 2103.
Got a page number?
It was page 160 in what was emailed to me.
Page
160.
160.
Start there.
And it talks about driving while impaired.
Failure to close lawful.
Oh, okay, that's right, 160, yeah. On page 94 of the,
94.
Yeah, it says
of the personnel.
of the personnel policy, but then
94.
the packet number is page 160.
Section 21.03.
Okay, where it says. Said it, after the comma. In the second line, it says, or an employee. Owned vehicle while conducting city of Orinoco business. I would like that. I would like to remove or eliminate the conducting city of Orinoco business. Because when it comes to a DWI. Or a driving impaired, whatever you wanna call it. It affects your insurance no matter what, so it doesn't matter if it's a private vehicle at your own day off or what? If there's somebody that operates city vehicles, a DWI is a insurance killer. And basically it's a discharge in any of the trucking industry or
So you'd like it,
even when I worked for the schools, if you had a DWI, you're kind of done if you were something that you did,
And driving
Have to
company
drive company
vehicles,
vehicles.
which is what I had that, yeah, you got that, it's. Blood test within 24 hours instantly, within 24 hours and then you're out.
do you want it to read the conviction of driving while impaired in a city-owned vehicle at any time during business or non-business hours or in an employee-owned vehicle may result in discipline up to and including discharge?
I want to remove the part that said, I want to eliminate where it says,
Wow.
while conducting
Okay.
city of Orinoco business.
You're saying it shouldn't matter if it's off the clock or on the clock.
Once it's on their driver's license, that's it for insurance for us as a city.
So by saying while conducting city of Orinoco business, that means it doesn't matter if it happens at their personal and their personal time.
Sure.
And that will matter when it comes to your insurance rate.
Okay. One thing I want to talk a little bit about is while we were working through some of these updates, a lot of them were given to us from Nico and Flattery Hood in base of best practices. We saw some of them happen today, and so a lot of it is really just formality and making sure we have the right verbiage. The one thing I would like to pull out, and we can talk about it later, would be 12 point, I gotta find it, sorry. Mm, 12.02, which talks about vacation pay. So it has in there years of service, what they accrue and their annual accrual rate. It talks about separation pay, earned pay, unpaid pay, and then we added a section about max accrual cap. And so that was the recommendation from Nico to cap it at 280 hours. I'd like to pull that section from the policy and have some conversations with staff to make sure that their one voice is heard on that cap, as well as maybe even thinking about some of our employees are close to that hour, so even offering maybe a cash out option if they are thinking about that. So maybe just for awareness that we'll have some additional conversations with ERC and staff and bring that back, but really cut that whole max accrual cap section out for approval today.
So that's section 12.02.
I think that makes sense off of that, for sure that, and I think that the payout is a smart way to do it, that they're not losing anything, because I don't want them to lose something.
The other thing we clarified was the earn sick and safe time in our policy prior. It was vague on do we pay that out or not. We've had a lot of conversations with the attorney and we've made it really clear that we will not be paying out any unused earn and sick time when an employee leaves. So we've made it very clear that that is not a payable piece. We want to make sure that staff are using that. That is consistent with the Minnesota law too.
That's sick time and what else?
It's earned sick and safe time. There's a max of 80 hours that they can accrue, that they can use that. So that's separate from like their PTO.
But that's something they can't take with if they leave. You're saying, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before, we didn't have it in there very clear. It was kind of vague. It left it up to interpretation. Minnesota state statute said that it really is based on a company or an employer to determine if we pay that out or not. So we made it clear that we would not be paying that out in terms of resignation, termination, retirement, any other separation.
So I am okay with pulling the cap out initially, but I do think that there needs to be a cap, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cause that could put the city in a pretty big financial bind if we've got to pay 800 hours of PTO out in one shot, right? Also, by capping it, it encourages employees to actually use their time. And then as far as the payout, or buyback, or however you wanna, phrase that, unless we have a better way of managing and tracking PTO, I think we should defer a buyback until we have a way to make sure that it's
Well,
being
isn't-
tracked.
Isn't that something that could be put into the payroll system where that's accrued? Cause
But-
that would be accrued each week, we all presume, if it's installed in the
But it
software.
has
Yeah,
to
what
be
Daniel's
entered
saying is,
correctly.
we don't have a good oversight of if PTO is actually being added and used.
Of which one's being used is what you're saying, right?
At all, or if
Yeah.
it's flex time, or if it's, so,
And that's not all employees, so we've seen
Correct,
that in a
yeah,
couple of
this is
instances
just-
where we probably need to have, again, some type of HR function to have an oversight to say, okay, Marie was gone and Marie didn't put in any 8 hours of time, have some conversations and get it in there.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, that's not across
Yeah,
the board,
it's
so I
not-
don't want
yeah,
it to sound like I mean, that's not the
Correct,
case
it's
for
not-
a majority of staff.
yes, but it is something that has to be addressed.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with as small of a department as we have with the oversight and the trust and everything, so.
So is that something that we need to address with HR on the Flaherty side of it?
Yeah, we have some policies in place or drafted. Again, I think we can talk to staff and let their voice kind of be part of that. We can bring that back to ERC and then bring that up, but I think, right, we're in a unique spot. We don't have a city administrator, we don't have an HR function. So we want to be sensitive to that too and not add a whole lot of oversight. But we do need some type of
Some type of tracking?
Yep, yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
Great, good discussion.
Tracking and probably a way to define what's being used. You know, whether it be the,
Yeah, in the policy, there are like where they can use earned sick and safe time, like what's allowable versus what's not.
Most that's state
there-
regulated
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
So as far as the motion goes, we have 12.02 and vacation leave and 12.01 ESST. We want to pull out or,
We would pull out in the 12.02 just the max accrual and cap section. We would leave the others in there because it talks about their annual, what they get every pay period, eligibility, accrual rate, separation payout, deferred comp, so we'd leave that in there, but there's a max accrual cap paragraph we would remove in that 12.02. And then the comment that Paul made about the 2103 about removing that while conducting city or local business for driving while impaired.
so in the max accrual cap, you pull that out until you talk to people, you have to see what they think a good max would be. Cause basically this is,
Is that something we can leave in
Well,
and
7
just
weeks.
adjust
They're-
after a conversation?
7
And
weeks.
that makes it stay on our radar too.
I just want to be
Adjust that.
sensitive, some of our employees are near that,
Okay.
that max, and so making sure that their voice is heard and that we're not cutting that off with them not being able to use
Sure.
that time too. I think what I would recommend is we'll be back with something in there, but wanting to make sure that we're giving our staff and employees kind of time to react and what would be maybe a tiered approach to get us there, but yes, we do need some type of max level. Again, this is not meant to be punitive. We want to encourage staff to use their time that they're accruing and be away from the city and enjoy other things in life too, so, but we want to make sure that we give advance notice.
and that's why it's available.
Yep.
For them to use.
Yep.
Just as soon as they use it.
Yep. Yep.
Might be kind of hard if you're short staffed though. That's probably more the issue than anything.
Okay, any other comments then? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Approved. Those changes.
So do
Okay.
we have to have another discussion when it comes back, adding that back in then?
Probably with the amount of time, right?
Yeah.
The cap.
Effective date or something like that.
Yeah.
To the index. All right, financials,
I've got a
report
couple
there.
there. I've got a couple of things on the financials, page 197. I'm looking at 42,305 on page 197. Legal fees. We had budgeted 20,000 for this year, and we're at 40,812. We have got to watch that. The other thing that I had on it was on the next page, which would be 198. 42,302 and 42,303 planning services. We didn't have anything budgeted and we've been charged $36,098.
That's some of the corrections that are happening, with the merging of 2025 and 2026 and over invoicing and other things. So anything in parentheses, those are credited back.
Okay, I'm just
We're trying to-
checking. Okay.
Well, I'm not, Mel's trying to clean it up.
Thank you. Okay.
So all of
I mean,
those
I just, you know,
are efforts.
And there's just also just to note, like in that planning code and in one other, we are still waiting on $89,000 worth of, LCCMR reimbursements for SEH. So some of those budgets look like they're over. We are getting reimbursed for like $89,000 of some of those costs. So this should be really cleaned up, for you. I'm hoping by July. I think some of these accounts are gonna look a lot better when we start, getting.
okay, as long as you've got it, which is great. I mean, the legal thing, we've got to,
Yeah. We've had a lot of unique situations that require
yeah,
delicacy and right, we've been talking about the personnel policy to make sure that we have really strong documents to help support decisions and accountability. But I hear you.
I mean, if we can use LMC, let's use LMC,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they do a pretty good job too. That's just, yeah, much in the budget, so.
Yeah. I completely agree with you.
Anything else before consent agenda?
No.
Okay, um, motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Only thing I saw was in the meeting minutes, if we can pull out this last meeting minutes, it was approved 5-0.
I'm sorry.
The,
January 3rd or June 3rd?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, I wasn't there, so it couldn't be 5-0, it needs to be 4-0.
Oh,
I mean, I
okay.
don't know that it matters, but,
No, it matters.
Oh, it's good to have that. Thank you.
So you,
that you guys voted for me there.
I would like to pull the fire department minutes. June 10th minutes, yeah,
What page you on, Brad?
228.
Couple
questions.
28, okay.
Let's see, do we want to approve the motion except for the one fire department? No.
I make a friendly motion to approve all of them except for fire department as a friendly motion to that, to my motion.
Second,
Okay, now that
Okay,
now that
wait,
we open for
So
discussion.
now we have a motion to approve the
Why are,
consent agenda with the exception of fire department.
Right,
why are we pulling that? My question.
Well, we had to make that first before he gets into it, so.
I know that.
So we have one motion now on consent agenda, except for the fire department.
So that's why I
We'll
did
vote on
it.
that first, and then we'll, if there's anything, if we make a
Well,
motion
we're
to,
pulling that, so that's part of the consent agenda. Pulling it.
But
my-
everything else was approved with that one. That's why I made the friendly amendment or friendly motion to my amendment to be able to do it, so. Okay,
My question is, why are we pulling it?
well, we have to do this first and now we'll find out. Okay.
okay, so, question for the fire department, in your minutes, I really appreciate what you've done in the past. The last one that I could see was like this January 12th minutes with your attendance and detail, items.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, I'll get that on there.
Okay.
Adam must not have gotten the minutes in.
I sent the minutes, but I didn't look to see if that was the rest or what's included in
No,
it.
we've been,
Yeah, right, on what we typically do is I'll send the letter,
we get the memo,
yep, that's the memo, that's the letter, per city statute, right, that I have to send. And then Adam Brays, is our secretary, and he puts in sends them into, well.
Yeah, and I sent those in.
was that,
I sent those in before, so I had those sent. The
so they
minutes,
just didn't get in the packet?
they didn't, because I had those sent in on Wednesday before noon, which is the cutoff time that there was this last month. So.
That
'Cause
was,
I always, every month, make sure they're in.
okay, that's good, we'll do better going forward. So I do have a question on the, that was in the memo on June 10th about the tanker 2 having a valve, temporary discontinued use of the booster reel, and proceeding with a $1,200 repair. So why can't that be put on a insurance claim to get it fixed?
Well,
We talked about that.
so we did talk about that, so.
And it's not really something that's an insurance type thing,
Wear
so,
and tear.
yeah,
It's not.
it's, yeah.
It
wear and
wasn't,
tear,
there
it's
wasn't,
broke,
like- there wasn't some
No.
event,
Insurance doesn't cover
there
things.
wasn't some event.
It's like a faucet at home, okay? If your faucet doesn't work at home, you don't turn around and put a claim onto your insurance company because the faucet doesn't work and it doesn't get turned
Your-
off,
your
so.
Car warranty doesn't cover your wiper blades and brake shoes either.
So it's one of those things that it's not an insurance type claim deal.
So we paid. So any type of repair, we pay full repair costs, if we don't claim anything on insurance in for other trucks and fire.
Probably if it's just wear and tear, normal
Right, yeah.
replacement.
Mostly just wear and tear, right? Just like anything with use, right? A valve is just like anything with use, right? It's a wear part. It's kind of like, your brakes on your car, right? It's open, closed, under pressure, not under pressure.
Because I think we looked at that when that happened, they thought that there might have been a little bit of moisture left into it when the winter hit. And with the freezing of that, it caused a problem with the valve, if I remember what our discussion was on that. So you can't put insurance in for, not having moisture inside that valve when it gets to be cold.
I just raising a question if that could be taken care of, so.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, we did, so. So, I mean, it was a discussion, just so you know, and so.
So the last item, there's been previous memos about these 6 applicants you have.
Yes.
So my concern is we have 26 people right now on the fire department,
We actually have 24.
24. And 6 is 30, but my concern is what's the cost to the city to support 6 new people? Is it really, do we need 6 more people? I'm looking at it strictly from a cost basis. I'm sure they could do a well job. It's just a cost issue that we're really bumping up against our budget going into 2027 and.
So this is something that we get asked all the time.
No.
What's the number? What's the right number, right? How many people do we need on a call? Right? How much training do we have to pay for? Actually, that's all the numbers. how much is the cost of turnout gear, right? How much do we pay people to go to calls, to go to training, to go to meetings, right? We pay them $15, $15 an hour. Not an hour, just a $15 a time. So yeah, right, that's the question is what is that right number? Right now, we have, 26 people on the first responders, and we had 2 people respond to a call the other day. Right? We're volunteers. We all have jobs. We all have families. Some have cabins, some have whatever, right? We're not always available. So it's also during the day, a lot of people are at work and in town, how do we staff a truck, right? When I was not here, when I was on Hayfield Fire, we would roll with 3 because we knew that we had 3 of us in town. Not safe, right? You can run with 3, but it's better with 4 or more, right? So that's the question, right? It's volunteerism is dying. People are busier. People have more commitments. People, they do more, or they want more relaxation time. We have a really good problem here because we have so many people that want to do this. Look at what the state is doing, they're doing a study on it because it's such a bad problem. Now what we do is when we bring somebody on, we want them to go to Fire 1, 2 and hazmat, right? That's the standard training. It's 160 hours-ish, right? We get reimbursed from the state for that, right? And then, what we do like to do is we want to outfit them with gear, right? So that's, there's where the expense really hits us, right? It's $4,000 a set of gear. Now, we don't give them a new set of gear right away. Because of that cost, we make them they're on a year plus they have to be done with their classes. So usually when they're done with their classes and been here a year, then we start that process. Turnout gear it's also a revolving door, right? We get it for 10 years. If it doesn't get broken, we've had repairs too, this year and last year. That it's just a revolving door of cost. Same with SCBA's, right? We're saving for SCBA's because that's a revolving door of a great cost. So, right, it's a hard thing to quantify. But when you or your loved one needs help, you want someone there.
Sure. I appreciate your comments. I mean, I have nothing against training and everything. It's just, I think we just need to be mindful.
The officers, and we have meetings once a month and we're always talking about that. How can we better make sure that, we're starting like an actual interview process, which hasn't been done in the past really.
Sure.
And, we want to make sure that if we bring someone on or, send to you guys that we want to bring someone on, that they're going to be around. We're not putting time and effort because just like any employee, full-time employee, there's time and effort too. When we bring somebody on, it's 4 nights of an onboard process. And then everything else, right? So it's a big ask on our side to bring somebody on. And then again, it's also an ask to you guys to bring someone on.
So has there been any discussion about tightening the radius where you'll take applicants from for new applicants,
Yes.
not necessarily current people? Because I feel like you guys have, they're either responding from Rochester or Township or whatever, or they aren't, and you guys clean house. So implementing a tighter radius, especially when we get closer to that.
Our higher number, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we did, we talked about that this last officers meeting, and, putting, an applicant that is, in town or in the township or works in town ahead of the rest. Over 2/3, it's actually almost 3/4 of our people are actually in town or in township. So, yeah, we do pull from Rochester, too. So, yep.
You know, so I don't think we're questioning your process, just be mindful, but at the same time, these 6 applicants, are they local or are they Rochester?
We have, see, 2 in Rochester, 2 in the township, and 2 in the city. Yeah.
So you got 4 good ones.
We also do look at too, like, if they've had experience elsewhere, or if, if they're already coming in with fire 1, 2 and hazmat ops, great. Like Taylor Armstrong, one of our captains, he was on Mazeppa fire for 3-4 years, and then they moved and we stole them. Every time we're on scene or with Mazeppa fire, they're like, can we have them back? No. So we do look for that too.
I do have a question, this temporary hose reel issue. Is there a plan to get that taken care of?
Probably next year.
Okay.
Yep.
So in the meantime, we have a truck with a hose reel not working on it.
There's still a bunch of.
There's still 2 more reels on that truck.
Sorry to bounce around, but for that applicant, what's your process to look at when people are disengaging and like not terminating or asking removal?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does that cadence look like?
No, I'm
And
glad.
maybe for both
Yeah,
departments.
so I'm glad you asked that. So we're nearing the finish line of putting together, like, I think we've talked about, creating SOPs, right? So standard operating procedures, like the admin side of stuff, right? And then, which would go to council and then go to city, city lawyers, whatever, council. So we're nearing the end of that, and it is spelled out.
Okay.
In that. We also have, and actually we did our first review session of it with the fire department at large too, not just the officers going back and forth with it. And then our second document, that's about 20 pages. Our second document is the SOGs, which are our standard operating guidelines, which is kind of like how we do business, right? Pager goes off, type of call, what we're rolling, how we're doing it, how we go about doing our business, right? Again, available for everyone, but the thing that you guys need to ratify is the SOPs. So, and make sure again that they're in compliance with our personnel policy, right? That we're following.
Those are great things to have. Appreciate you working on those.
Thank you.
It's been a process, but you know what? It's
slow
been really good.
It is a undertaking. So.
We're still talking about the personnel policy too, so we're all figuring it
Much
out.
needed undertaking for everybody.
I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm preaching the choir there. So yeah.
All right, any other comments for consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's approved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Break that fast.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, 9:07, thank you very much. Thanks for sticking around, John, too. Appreciate that.
I'm old.